cravings hit and the plan goes out the window. It's like something takes over you and you're so annoyed at yourself because you're trying to lose weight and you told yourself yesterday this would be the last time. And you just can't work out why at work you can get results, push through and be disciplined, but with this, it's just not the same. Most people who are dealing with cravings are usually doing one of two things. They're fighting them or they're just giving in. And this video is about why both those things make it worse and what to do instead. There are three things I'd like you to understand by the end of this. Number one, what's actually driving the craving. Number two, why everything you've tried is actually making it worse. And then number three, of course, what actually works instead. And make sure you watch all the way through because each point builds on the last and is critical for understanding. So the first thing I'd like you to understand is something fundamental about where you came from. Your ancestors didn't just sit around a campfire. They were listening, they were scanning, they were watching out for danger. If you imagine the caveman that was relaxed and dreamy in front of the fire, do you think he survived? Probably not. Something probably jumped out of the bushes or he didn't think far enough about what his next meal would be. And so his genes did not get passed down. The ones that did survive were the ones whose minds never fully switched off. They were scanning, thinking, worrying, and they predicted the danger better than the other ones. And so they had children, and that's whose brain you inherited today. And so this is the mind that you have, and the mind that I have, the one that produces worry, doubt, and intrusive thoughts automatically, and not as a malfunction, but as a survival feature. And so that's the same wiring that shows up today. The anxiety, the negative thoughts, the guilt, the craving that's so strong you can't resist it. And this isn't a weakness, it's a 300,000-year-old alarm system, let's say, that's firing in a world it was never built for. And so it's really important to understand that your mind is not broken. It's running a program, it's running a system which actually helped you get here today. And before we go on, my name is Harry, and I used to emotionally eat myself. And I've spent the last 8 years helping men work out exactly what's driving that pattern in themselves. And what it always comes down to is that it was never about the food. And if you're here and would like to understand the patterns that are driving your own cravings, I have a quick assessment in the description below. It helps build an eating profile around your behaviors and gives you some advice on what to do next. And it's free. So next, what's actually happening when the craving hits? This may be surprising, but you don't actually want the food. You want the change in feeling. Food is just the fastest route your brain knows how to get that. Over your life, your brain has learned that food just takes the edge off. That stress, that boredom, those negative feelings, that background hum of a hard day. Your brain just logged that discomfort arrives, you want to feel better, and eating gets you there. So it built a pathway. Think of it like a forest path. The first time you walk it, it's overgrown. Every time you take that same path, it clears a little bit more until it almost becomes a road. And that's what's happened here. Because you've taken this path many times, it's become easier and easier to travel down, and it almost feels automatic. And the cost of this is not just the eating itself or not getting the body you want. It's that constant mental load of saying, today will be different, and then breaking your promise to yourself. And every time that happens, you lose a little bit of trust in yourself. Not dramatically, but quietly in the background. Not something enough to label, but you can feel it's there. And what I found with clients is that erosion runs in the background of everything in their life. Their work, their relationships, the sense of who they are. So when a craving comes along, what do people do? As I mentioned before, it's one of two things. They either fight it, no, I'm not gonna eat this, I've had too much, I told myself I wouldn't, or it's so intense, they just give in and think, well, I'm gonna have it anyway, so I may as well. And when you do eat, of course that does work temporarily, you feel better for a few minutes, but then often the pressure rises again, and your brain convinces you to go back for more. Fighting it feels like the disciplined option, that willpower, the I have control over this. But it's exhausting, it's tiring, and often the lower the energy you have, the easier it is then just to give in. Or maybe you have something else instead. People often tell me they have a square of dark chocolate or a low-calorie version of a treat. Maybe you do something else entirely, like scroll your phone for distraction or just to take the edge off. But what you find is this just doesn't work long term. What you find is later on or tomorrow, the same routine happens. It's tiring. And what you've done is just replaced one coping strategy with another. So as I mentioned before, food is not the problem. It's just the coping strategy. It's the vehicle to take you from a feeling that you don't want to a feeling that you do want. And the thoughts, feelings, and cravings, they aren't the problem either. As I said before, your brain is a thought-producing machine. So there are no good thoughts or bad thoughts, true thoughts or false thoughts. It's just what your brain does. This is new to most people, but what actually matters is this thought taking me in the direction I want in my life right now? If it's not, and you end up arguing with it, fighting it, getting tangled up in that thought, this is where the problem lies. So the problem isn't the thought itself, it's getting tangled up and almost pulled in by it, and feeling like that's the only option or thing in your world right now. That's how it feels, right? When you get that craving, it feels like a very narrow vision and nothing else matters until you get rid of that thought. And this is one of the biggest mistakes you can make with a craving. Of course, the instinct is when I get this intense feeling, because I'm trying to lose weight, I want to fight it and make sure it doesn't overcome me. Your brain thinks it's important and it feels like a threat, and your brain is treating it like one. Think about a smoke alarm. It goes off when there's real danger, a fire, actual smoke. It does what it's supposed to do. But imagine if the alarm becomes oversensitive. It might go off when you boil the kettle, or you make toast, or you open the oven door. The alarm is still real, the sound is still loud, your heart still races, but there's no real danger. Your house is not going to burn down. This is exactly what's happening with your cravings. The alarm is genuine and the discomfort is real, but it's firing at thoughts rather than real danger or a threat. Here's something I often ask men that I work with. If you were in real danger right now, would having some chocolate fix it? So let's say a bear was chasing you. If you stopped and had a little bite of chocolate, would that solve the problem? No, of course. It's funny, but that's what's happening. When you eat something nice, that alarm turns down, it quietens. So your brain keeps giving you the cravings to make you have more. Which brings me to the part that nobody ever tells you, and the most important part of this video. Remember that I said that most people either fight their cravings or just give in to them and eat anyway? Well, there's actually a third option. Here's what that option is based on. So thoughts, feelings, emotions, cravings, they don't just appear and stay at the same intensity or even continue rising. They come and go in waves. They come and go in their own time. It's a bit like clouds in the sky or sparks from a fire. You don't try and push them or grab them. You just observe and they do their own thing. Think about watching a horror movie. Your heart rate might raise, your palms might sweat, your body might react. It feels real, but it's just pictures on a screen. That fear felt completely real, but the danger wasn't there. A craving works in the same way. It feels urgent, inevitable, like there's only one way that this ends. But this feeling isn't the real future. It's just a wave that comes and will go on its own. So the most effective way to get rid of a craving is to do nothing with it. The alarm is too sensitive. It thinks there's a threat. So the way that you recalibrate it is to expose it to what happens when you don't act on that threat. And over time, it slowly recalibrates. It learns that actually there wasn't a threat. And so that craving starts to lower in intensity and may often come less frequently. Your brain, like your body, learns through experience. So just like learning to play the piano, for example, you can't tell yourself to be able to play the piano. You have to do it. So every time you allow a craving to pass without acting on it, your brain kind of files that away as new experience, evidence that actually we don't need to have a craving right now. There's no real threat. So how do you actually do this? How do you deal with something that feels so intense and so loud? Imagine you're having a party and you invite all your friends. They arrive and you're having such a good time. Now, there's a knock at the door. You go and check, and it's Dave, your annoying neighbor. You don't want him at your party. So you stand there and shout through the door, you hold it shut, and tell him, no, you can't come in. This party isn't for you. While you're doing that, you're away from the party. You're not enjoying it. Instead, you're fighting with your neighbor. So after a while, you get tired. You let him in anyway, and he comes in and he's really annoying. So to distract yourself from that, you go into the kitchen, you turn the music up, you eat some food to distract yourself. But again, you're not enjoying the party because you're not doing what you wanted to. You're doing something to distract yourself from Dave. And Dave won't leave. He's walking around your party, annoying the guests, and you keep checking, and it's annoying you as well. Again, it's taking you away from the enjoyment. You're not having the experience you wanted to have. So what do you do instead? This third option. You acknowledge Dave is there. You don't fight with him and you don't try and distract from him. You open the door with willingness. You say, come in. You sit him down on the sofa, maybe give him a drink and tell him to enjoy himself. Leave when he wants to, stay as long as he likes. And importantly, you go back to the party. Do what you're there for. Dave might be annoying. He might go around and annoy people, but you allow him to do that and you do your thing. You acknowledge that he's going to do that and interact with the guests in the way that you want to. So Dave is still there, but you're accepting that you can't control him. So instead, you do what you can control. Going in, enjoying yourself, talking to the guests, having a drink, having some food, having fun. So this is what we call acceptance or allowing. Dave is the craving and you're not fighting him or trying to distract from him. You're allowing him to be there while doing what matters. But here's the problem. Allowing Dave in sounds fine in theory, but he is loud and he is annoying and he is distracting. How can I get on with the party with Dave there? And that's where most people fall down. Not because they don't understand the idea, but they don't have anything to hold themselves steady while Dave is in the room. And side note, these thoughts and feelings could be bad, so accepting them or allowing them does not mean that you approve of them. You don't approve of Dave, you're just accepting that he's going to be there. Remember that I said that thoughts, feelings and cravings come in waves. They come and go in their own time. So will Dave. But you need something to keep you grounded and steady while they are there. So think of a ship in the harbour when there's a storm. What does it do? It drops anchor, but the anchor doesn't interact with the storm. It doesn't get rid of the storm. It keeps the ship steady while the storm is there. It weathers it out until the storm passes on its own. So while you're getting the urges and the cravings for food, you need to anchor yourself. And here's something really important to understand about it. If I threatened you right now and said, don't feel anxious or have any stress, could you just turn that off? Of course not. We don't have control over our thoughts. So that's the storm. But if I said, walk in a circle, jump up and down, wave your arms, could you do it? Yes. So this tells us something very important. We have much more control over our body than over our mind. You can't instruct your mind to stop feeling something, but you can instruct your body to do something. And when you do, your attention goes with it. So that's the anchor, not a thought, not a strategy, your body. Think about what life is for, to be fulfilling and do meaningful things. Yes, you might want the weight loss and you want to stop the cravings, but why do you want those? To lead a more fulfilling and happy life. It's to be present with people that you care about, to achieve things, to follow through with things you said you were going to do. and you can't be present when a craving is calling for your attention and you're fighting with it. So every time you're able to let a craving pass without acting on it, you're able to show up and be more present in life. You're at the party as the person you want to be. Yes, Dave may still turn up, but he often turns up less, and he's not as loud either. So this is your brain retraining itself. It's turning down that signal, that sensitivity of the alarm. So over time, it feels less threat and triggers the alarm less. And if you've ever done everything right all week, but watched it fall apart on the weekend, this is worth understanding too, because it's not a lack of discipline on the weekend, but conditions during the week which caused this weekend collapse. This is the next video. And if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe as well.